Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and I thank you for inviting me to this instruction course, and I thank AIS for this opportunity to present here. So I'll be discussing about corneal topography, decoding the hidden. So in this presentation, because we have limited time, so we'll be discussing mostly about Pentacam because that is the most commonly used corneal topography system in most of the clinical setups. So the Pentacam was initially described by Theodor Schimflag, who first conceptualized the principle of Pentacam, and this machine uses two cameras, one for the fixation of the eye and the other which rotates around the eye to capture around 50 images in 22 seconds, and that ultimately captures 138,000 true elevation points for both the front and the back surface of the cornea from limbus to limbus. Therefore, it is important to understand it is analyzing the cornea from limbus to limbus and also both the anterior and posterior surface of the cornea. It assesses 5 parameters, that is the pachymetry, the corneal topography, the anterior and posterior corneal curvature, the astigmatism determination, and the Schimflag photography of the eye. So to begin with, when you capture a Pentacam image, this is what you see on I'll just start my pointer. Okay, so this is the position of the camera that is being shown, and this is the image of the pupil. This is the Schimflag image that is being captured, and this is for the alignment of your joystick with the joystick movement that will align the camera with the eye. Now, as soon as the image is captured, this image comes on to display, which is showing the image that is being projected here is the position of the camera, and the degree at which the camera is placed is shown here, and this is the 3D model of the anterior chamber. And on the right you see the numeric display of the keratometry value and the pachymetry value and the anterior chamber analyzer, and the image on the right can be selected based on the parameter that is being selected here in this box. So here a corneal thickness has been selected, so a pachymetry map is being displayed. Before you proceed on to analyzing any Pentacam map, it is important to understand whether the quality specification of the map is okay or not. In case if this quality specification is not okay, or it goes into a red or a yellow zone, it is important to repeat the imaging and then analyze it rather than analyzing the current image. So next, after understanding the quality specification, it is the Q value that needs to be understood. The Q value gives us the shape of the cornea. The normal shape of the cornea is a prolate shape where the cornea is centrally steep and peripherally flat. And the Q value in this case remains negative and is between 0 to -1. In case of keratoconus, the shape of the cornea is hyperprolate and is less than -1. And after a high myopic photoablation or post-LASIK, the cornea becomes flat centrally, and that is an oblate shape of the cornea, and the Q value becomes positive. Now, before we understand the different maps, we have to understand the reference surface, which is a best fit sphere. So a best fit sphere is calculated by taking up the average keratometry of the patient's keratometry data, and it is a computer generated design or a shape for a best fit sphere, and it varies from patient to patient. And now the patient's keratometry map is compared with that best fit sphere to understand how the cornea is elevated or depressed or steep or flat at different points, and that comparative map is then analyzed to give different results. So the color scale is important to understand. Every map is color coded, varying from blue to red, and the elevation being higher than normal is suggested in red, and lower than normal is suggested in blue, and the red suggesting a high anterior elevation and the blue suggesting a low elevation. So this gray map here is showing your best fit sphere map, and the yellow is representing the shape of the patient's cornea. So we can see here in normal patient, as we discussed, the center is steep and periphery is flat. So the center part is raised above the patient's best fit sphere, and in the mid peripheral part, we can see that in the mid peripheral part, it is flatter compared to the best fit sphere, and in the extreme periphery, again, it is steeper than the best fit sphere. The same is represented in a color-coded fashion in the elevation map. So you can see in the center, as it is higher than the best fit sphere, it is yellow. In the mid periphery, as it is flatter, it is in blue. And in the extreme periphery, since it is steeper than the best fit sphere, it is going into yellow and red zones. Same for the astigmatic elevation maps. In the astigmatic elevation map, now we are discussing about the curvatures. So for a steeper curvature, which is present in the periphery and leading to a steep curvature, because of which it is falling within the circle of the best fit sphere, and hence that is represented in red colors in the astigmatic elevation curvatural maps. And if the curvature is flatter than the normal or the best fit sphere, then that is represented with blue colors, and the higher curvatures are represented with red colors. Now, coming to the pachymetry map, the pachymetry is again color-coded map, the thicker cornea being blue and the thinner cornea represented in red colors. So here you can see that the central cornea is central, or the paracentral cornea is showing the red colors. And we can see that this plus here represents the center of the cornea, and the circle represents the thinnest pachymetry. So we can see that the thinnest pachymetry is displaced from the pachymetry apex, or the central part of the cornea, and which is often seen in patients of ectatic corneal disorders like keratoconus. Now, coming on to the interpretation of this map, as we can see in this map, the quality specification index is normal, is okay, and hence we can proceed with the interpretation of the map. And this is the corneal front keratometry values, where we can see the values for K1 is 47 and that for K2 is 51.3, and it is already showing the value in red, that is suggesting it to be abnormal. And as we all know, a value more than 47.2 is a suspect for keratoconus. Hence, we carefully move on to the assessment of the pachymetry values, where we can see that the pachymetry center is 437 and the pachymetry apex is 423, the difference being of around 14 microns. A difference in the pachy apex and center pachy, and the thinnest location is 410. So the difference in the pachy apex and the thinnest location here is around 13 microns. And a difference of more than 10 microns is again suggestive of ectatic corneal disorder like keratoconus. And next we look onto the elevation map. So if we look at the elevation map, the anterior elevation is going into plus 33, and a red zone can be seen in the central 5 millimeter zone. And the curvatural map is showing inferior steepening, that is the red spot or the hot spot area is in the inferior part. And the pachymetry map is also showing a hot spot or a red area suggestive of thinning. So we have inferior steepening corresponding with an area of thinning, and both anterior and posterior elevation in the same areas, all of which is suggestive of an corneal ectasia. The next map, which is important to understand, is the Bellin-Ambrosio enhanced ectasia display. There is some voice disturbance. Somebody is on unmute. If we can request them to mute. Okay, so the next map is the Bellin-Ambrosio enhanced ectasia display, wherein rather than using the best fit sphere, we use an enhanced best fit sphere. And the patient's corneal profile is then compared with the enhanced best fit sphere. And in this, subtle elevations or subtle areas of corneal ectasia can also be picked up. So it is really important for patients who are planned for refractive surgery to go ahead and see for the Bellin-Ambrosio enhanced ectasia display to rule out form fruste keratoconus, which can be missed if we look only at the 4-quad refractive map. So going on to the Bellin-Ambrosio enhanced ectasia display, this is the enhanced best fit sphere. It is calculated by excluding the 3 mm zone around the steepest part of the patient's cornea, and therefore the enhanced best fit sphere is a little flatter compared to the best fit sphere, and therefore subtle elevation and areas of elevation or ectasia can be picked up. The two important parameters to look into the Bellin-Ambrosio enhanced ectasia display is the corneal thickness spatial profile and the percentage thickness increase. The corneal thickness spatial profile measures the progression of thickness from the thinnest location to the corneal periphery, and it is divided into various zones. So here you can see it is starting from somewhere around 400 microns and then going up to 600 microns in the periphery. Now these black lines, black dashed lines at the bottom of the top represent 2 standard deviations below and above the normal.
Sorry to interrupt, ma'am, but we'll have to conclude this session.
Yes. So this is the Bellin-Ambrosio enhanced ectasia display, where you can see the corneal thickness spatial profile and PTI both are below and above both are outside the 2 standard deviation, and hence it's suggestive of corneal ectasia. So there are few screening parameters that need to be kept in mind when you are assessing any patient for refractive surgery, and these are just representative map. The first one, this is showing a regular astigmatism. As you can see, this is with the rule regular astigmatism, and wherein the bad profile is abnormal, and hence in no refractive surgery should be planned in such patients, and they should be assessed after 6 months. And this is a case of pellucid marginal degeneration, wherein you can see the kissing dove appearance in the kissing dove pattern and inferior thinning in patients of PMD, and keratoconus that we have already discussed. This is a patient wherein we have a bow tie pattern with inferior steepening and skewing of the radial axis, and the inferior steepening is corresponding with thinning and the posterior elevation, all of which is suggestive of keratoconus. With that, I'll conclude my slides.